Well, good morning. How is everybody today? It is Saturday, June 7th. Welcome to the stream. Excited to be here. Excited to get back to work and finish up our, what is this? The ocean. This is the ocean blog. We've got coffee. I've got water. I was just yelling at the dog to be quiet. She's laying down. So I guess we're ready to start. How is everybody doing? Pretty excited to be putting a bow on this site. I do quickly want to. I love so much when I get comments from people. And I got this comment overnight. Let's see if I can find it. I'm pretty sure it was on. Stop. Lena. Hang on, let me see if I can find it. I can't remember. Well, let's look in right here. Can we just go to the comment? Well, anyways, I got this comment. Why can't I see? Oh, it is on the last video. Right here. So if you're watching, thank you so much for leaving me this comment. She left me this person left me a comment in a couple different places. This is somebody who was a classmate of mine at the University of St. Thomas software engineering program. And I said, which class were we in together? So I am so sorry. I don't know if this is a he or a she, so I'm going to go with they. They were in the Java 1 class with me. Our teacher was Eric Level, and he was great. He was an awesome teacher. He was so much fun. He was really good at object-oriented programming. I had him for Python and Java 1. In addition to the graduate, the master's degree in software engineering, I also got a full stack graduate certificate. So in order to get the full stack certificate, I had to take Java 1 and Java 2. Java 1, I didn't have any problems. Java 2 almost broke me. I almost quit the program because of Java 2. It was so hard. And they say here, we had commencement not too long ago on May 25th, so this person has graduated. Congratulations. I finished last year, so I finished this program 2024. Definitely challenging. I feel like I need to take the cloud computing classes all over again because it was so dense. And Java 1 was all right, but Java 2 was quite challenging for me. So yes, 100%. The reason I wanted to talk about this was because of the cloud computing classes. 1 second here. So the cloud computing classes. Let's look at the course description for this class. So this is the software engineering, degrees and certificates, full stack development. Do they not have view our course schedule? Okay, here we go. So this is Class Finder, cloud computing, right here. Let's make this a little bigger. So here's the description. This course covers the fundamentals of IT infrastructure in the cloud. It provides a detailed overview of cloud concepts, services, security architecture, and economics. This course will examine the theory behind these modern practices and the real-world implementation challenges faced by IT organizations. Students will learn how to design and implement cloud-based solutions. While the lessons will cover a number of theoretical concepts, we will primarily learn by doing. Students will gain hands-on experience with several widely adopted IT platforms, including AWS and Docker. So if this is the class that I'm thinking of, so first of all, this teacher, Ron Chang, chef's kiss. He was amazing. I had him for cloud computing, and I also had him for a database, relational database course, and at MySQL databases. He was great. I loved him. In my opinion, the cloud computing course was AWS 101. It was all about how to structure things in AWS. I too found it incredibly dense, and I really didn't like it. And I understand why this course exists. I understand every big organization pretty much uses AWS, and if you want to go this route in your career as a software engineer, it's incredibly important to understand AWS and how to set these infrastructures up. I totally understand that. In my opinion, development isn't all about AWS. So I understand why this course exists. I understand who the audience is, but there are things that they left out that I think I can do through my channel to talk about DevOps on a scaled back, just sort of zooming out and scaling back. The whole idea of DevOps, I don't think that every organization, especially if you're freelancing, needs a big AWS infrastructure type setup to host a website, even if it's e-commerce, right? Which has the added complexity. I think that there are other things that you can do, and I think that some of what this program taught focused so much on enterprise level solutions. I think there's an opportunity, especially on YouTube. I think there's an audience to teach people about, like, maybe a nice LAMP stack, a nice managed server, a MERN stack, if you're going to do maybe a NoSQL backend and a front end Angular, something like that. That's a full stack app, and you don't need AWS for that. You could handle that on DigitalOcean, no problem. So I don't know. I think if I were to give you some advice, now I don't know what your career goals are. I don't know what you want to do. I mean, being a developer, it's a very broad topic. I would encourage you to learn how to do things that are maybe a little less complex. Sign up for DigitalOcean. Learn how to manage a server. Hang on, DigitalOcean. Sign up for DigitalOcean. Ubuntu on DigitalOcean. How to hang on. Initial server setup with Ubuntu. Follow one of these DigitalOcean tutorials and set up a managed hosting on a nice little cloud server. These are really powerful. A nice LAMP stack, which stands for Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. It is one of the most basic server setups that you can come up with, and it's incredibly powerful. You can run a lot of apps on that. If you're doing full stack front end and you're building Node apps, set up a Node app. You don't need AWS for many things. You don't need AWS. Again, I understand why the University of St. Thomas has classes like this. Their audience is that they are trying to get a group of people ready to go out and understand how to provide these enterprise level solutions to big organizations. So if you're thinking like, oh, I don't really get cloud computing, it was incredibly dense, maybe you don't need to do this whole cloud computing thing over again. Maybe you could dip your toe into a nice managed server. I don't know, just a suggestion. DevOps is a really interesting field of, I call it a field of study, but it's incredibly important for front-end developers. And I do think that there are a lot of new front-end developers who don't know how to do a lot of sort of basic DevOps steps, right? DevOps is like version control. What's your local development pipeline to staging to production? Like, what is that pipeline? What does that workflow look like? How do you manage that? Do you push directly from your local environment? Do you have a pipeline that goes from staging to production? That's DevOps. That's DevOps. And it involves a lot of things. It involves version control and it involves deployment. And I think it's really interesting. A lot of front-end developers don't know how to buy a domain name, don't know how to manage their DNS settings. They don't know what an A record is or a CNAME is. They don't get how to do that stuff. And in my opinion, I don't think that in order to be a front-end developer, you need to understand all of the complexities of AWS if you don't even understand how to set up a nice little managed hosting server on a place like DigitalOcean, if you don't know how to buy a domain name, if you don't know how to point an A record or create a CNAME or configure your MX records so you can use Google for email. Try to learn some stuff like that. All of the resources are out there. So that's that. I just really felt like that needed to be said, and I think it's in line with what I talk about every weekend when it comes to the whole purpose of this channel, which is not that frameworks and libraries are bad. They are not bad. I would never say that. I would never imply that. I don't believe that. But I do see a lot of front-end developers who don't know how to do basic core foundational skill type things like understanding basic HTML, understanding basic CSS. They struggle with layout and positioning because they don't understand the core concepts because they're so deep into React or Angular or whatever. And I want to get people back to basics because I think sometimes front end is way overcomplicated. So stay tuned because I'm going to be introducing more DevOps type content into this channel as we continue to finish projects. And really, in a way, I already am because I'm already showing you the deployment process to go from my local environment, pushing to Git, deploying to a staging environment on Heroku. So I've already shown you guys that, right? How else, if I didn't do that, how do you think I would get that up to a server that you could look at, right? So hopefully you guys are starting to do stuff like that for your own projects. That's my hope. Okay. So thank you. Thank you for leaving me that comment. When I saw the comments, I just thought that was really cool and I really appreciated it. And I wish you all the best of luck in your career. It's a great program. I worked at the University of St. Thomas for 7 years. They are a great employer. I learned so much there. I mean, I've been a developer for 12 years and 7 of those years I spent at St. Thomas. And one of the benefits of working at St. Thomas is free tuition. So I went through that graduate program for free, and I feel incredibly lucky and fortunate to have had that opportunity. So, okay, here we are. So we are going to finish our QA testing today. We got a lot of QA testing done last week. I'm going to be very, very, very selective about what I work on today. We're going to put whatever we can't get done here in a couple of hours, we're going to put into the technical debt column. and we'll create issues in Git. I want this to be an open source project, so if somebody comes along and sees the stream and they're thinking that they want to start contributing to open source projects, I'll have issues in there if somebody wants to work on them. If you want to do a pull request, I'm not going to guarantee that I will accept every pull request that gets sent, but I'll look at it. So I think this could be fun. And the Supreme Overlord is here. Hello, welcome. Glad to have you. And if you're new to the channel and you like content like this, we would love to have you as a subscriber. And do me a favor, like the video. It helps us get it pushed out to more people who might like talking about front end. Okay, so we need to write a little bit of JavaScript for our navigation. Ideally, we would have, let's look here in the console. Ideally, we would add a class that says active to this anchor link anytime we're on a page that matches the URL. So right here, the href is home, and up here, the href is home. And the way we do that is, yeah, we have a couple other things here we need to fix. So let's do this first. We do window.location. This is part of the JavaScript API. We're looking here at the path name. So it's window.location.pathname. JavaScript gives us the URL endpoint that we want and that we want to compare to this link. So we'll go ahead and write a little bit of JavaScript that just looks at that, adds an active class, and then we can style the active class for You Are Here navigation. The social icons on the blog layout should be centered, but they are left aligned. Let's see here. I have everything set up here. So I think it's right here. We need to fix that. So we'll go ahead and get that fixed today. Titles for the side latest posts need to be linked. So that's right here. We can do that. We need padding after the date before the next item on the masonry layout. So that is, so I think that's on mobile. Yeah, so that's for mobile right there. The full width blog header still looks too tight on mobile. Probably just need more margin after the hero. So let's look at this again. Blog. I don't know, I think that looks okay. Full width, oh, full width blog headers. This is the wrong one, full width. Yeah, that does, it does look weird, doesn't it? And it's because that title, well, the title is really, really long, which I did on purpose. And it's also absolutely positioned. So yeah, we just need to play with that a little bit, don't we? That's the one of the, I guess I'm going to call it a consequence of using that type of positioning. Okay, so we're going to think about that. Next, the footer links should be white on hover. Yeah. That's probably an easy fix. Okay, so let's start with our "you are here" link underline. And I'm going to cheat a little bit because I've done this many times. And I already know that I have a pretty well optimized version of this. So here, "you are here." This is all we need. So we're already inside the DOM, our event listener. Let's come down here. I don't know, might be a good idea to do a little refactoring here today too. This is not super efficient, but so basically we get the links, we do a query selector all of the nav item class, and that puts the links into an array. Then we get that window location href. Oh, I think I had said path name, but did I decide to do href instead? Let's see here. Window. Oh yeah, path name. So we get the, href. Hang on. Const href. Okay, so it looks like I've been getting the full URL instead. And then, oh, link.href. Got it. So it's getting the full path also from the link, not just what's typed in. Okay. Sometimes I have to refresh my memory on what I did. So this is comparing the link from the array of navigation items to the URL that's in the browser. If they match, we just add this active class. So that should be working now. Nav link. Oh, hang on. I think I have the wrong nav link. Nav underscore link. Links, document query selector. Oh, why aren't you? Are we getting an error here? Oh, it's we're getting an error because for the slider, I did know about this. For the slider, it's looking for the event listener for the slider. Here is the sidebar, animate CSS, attach observer. Here's the slider right here. So I think what we want to do is we would just want to say if no slider return. Just like that. Because this event listener right here, I think the event listener, we're getting an error because of the event listener there. So now we cleared our error. Okay, why are we still not getting our active class? Yeah, we're loading. let's console log nav link. Do I have the wrong? And then let's console log the href. Okay, this isn't firing at all. How come? We're inside DOM content loaded. I don't know. Nav link. Am I just spelling something wrong here? Nav underscore link. This is the href. I don't know why. I don't know why that wasn't running at the bottom of the page, but that clearly was the problem. So, okay. And it's going through everything in the header and the footer, which means we can put an active class on the footer link too. Great. So here's our array. Here is our active right here. And this is our you are here navigation. All right, so we have an active class now. So let's go ahead and style that, and we should be able to right here. So we're going to add this active. Whoops. So we'll add this to our little list of pseudo classes. And now we have styling when we're on the page. Nice. So now we can let's do the same thing in the footer, and then we can fix our hover styles on the footer. And then we can cross those things off the list. So we are on the home page. Oh, why don't we have, oh, because let's fix that. Which means we're going to have to fix it on every page because it's a static website. We will do a find and replace. Yeah, none of these have none of those have the links. Right here. Okay, so yeah, we need to do this on every page. All right, we could do it. About here. All right. Oh, in our active, we have an active link down here, so I must have added that. Oh, you know what? It's probably getting those styles from the header. So we just need to make sure they have the correct hover and active colors. And that is in the footer. So this is also going to be white, and even though it's already got the active class, I'm just going to add it here. There we go. Good, good. Excellent. Let's cross it off our list. So this is done. And this is done. Okay. Social icons on blog layout should be centered, but they are left aligned. Let's make this a little bigger. It's like I never know what I'm going to be zooming. That's the thing about Chrome that is annoying. Okay, you're not being cooperative. All right, here we go. I'm trying to zoom on this and it's not letting me, so, but I think you guys can see it. Okay, so here's the blog links, and I know we kind of messed with this last week because we were fixing We are fixing some layout issues, and that is completely fine. We just didn't account for this on desktop, so here's our nav, here's our UL, which is display flex. So we want this to be align items on mobile. We want this to be center. Oh, but that's on the, we want the container. We just want the container to be, we could justify content and say center, but I think we could just do margin 0 auto. No. You're going to force me to do it like this? Text align center. Oh, it's a, okay, so it's a column. So this is the parent. It's a column. Text align center. I think we want to do, oh, so does this just need to be display flex? Oh, there's display block. Oh. Okay. Okay, where are we? Let's see here. Go Elmo Go says, hello, I will be working on assignments. So I will just be lurking. Loved the uploads this week. Very useful. Hope the stream goes well. Thank you, Elmo. Thank you so much. I love the status updates. I love it. Thank you. Thank you for that. 1 second here. All right. Every time I mute myself and take myself off screen, it's because I need to blow my nose. I have allergies. And right before I started the stream, I took Heidi outside for a quick walk, and it's just, I can just feel it in my face. So that's why I do that. Okay, so we need to get into main line 93 and see what we missed last week. Right here. Okay. So if we're including flex container, which is one of our variables that has display flex and all of these properties on the parent, then we shouldn't need to repeat that in the media query. But that's what the browser is saying. The browser is saying So inherited from div.blog links. Oh, okay. So align items flex start. That's what needs to be centered. And it's messing with our alignment a little bit. So, okay, so blog links is where we need to, yeah. So I put align items flex start on mobile. That's what max width means, that these are the mobile styles. And then these are the desktop styles. So we don't need this. Let's just make sure that that looks okay on desktop and on mobile. Okay. Okay. That all looks fine. I mean, we did a lot of tinkering last week, so I'm not at all surprised that something got a little bit screwed up. That's why you have to take a break and come back with fresh eyes. Okay, so this alignment looks good. Can you see this background dashed border here? Technically, this is sitting in the background and this is over top of that. So this alignment looks good, but on mobile, now that we have the icons lining up, just this background, we need to fix that. Okay, so that's an easy fix. Let's see what's happening with our border here. So here's our border right here. And we are just manually moving that up 25 pixels. What I would prefer is to have this be a little more dynamic and not so static. What happens if I just do negative 50%? Nothing happens. All right. So I guess if I'm eyeballing it on desktop, it needs to be negative 40. No, on desktop it needs to be negative 25, and on mobile it needs to be negative 40. And this is in the blog layout half width, blog links after, on line 30. But what changed with the spacing here that we have to do that? So the margin and the padding. Okay, so that's desktop. And then stop. Just tell me where you are. So I think it's, do you see this purple? You see that purple under there? Oh, it's the gap. It's the gap. That's the reason why. It's the gap. Okay. So if we take out right here, I must have put the gap in. The gap is the reason why that container is taller and we need to adjust that value. So apparently I had a reason for doing that. I actually remember doing it. I don't remember what the reason was though, because it looks fine without it. I mean, let's. It was only on desktop, or excuse me, mobile. All right. Well, let's not think about it too much. Looks fine. Okay, so I'm going to call this one done. Titles for the side latest posts need to be linked. That's these right here. So that means, once again, that we have to change that on every single page because this is a static website. I'm not complaining. I'm really not. It's just one of the things that you have to deal with anytime you have a static website. Let's close out some of this stuff. Okay, so here's our index. Latest posts right here. It's an H4, so let's do this. Oh, I don't know if this is going to work. We'll try it. That might be all we have to do. I think it needs a little bit of line height. I think it's a little cozy. So let's see if we can adjust that. And let's make sure. I'll just do that. There we go. So this is the sidebar blog title, href. So I think that we could, don't want it to be all, it would be the sidebar blog title. Maybe just a little bit of line height. 1.25. Yeah, just a little bit of line height. We'll bump it up to 1.5. Okay, so where is this? Sidebar item, latest post, sidebar blog title, sidebar, line 26, 126. And I'm just going to come here just like this. line height 1.5. And line height is always, best practice is that it is a multiple of your font size. Whatever that value is, the multiple of the font size to add the line height. You can put a value on line height if you want to. So we should actually change this right here. So this is where this is defined. Oh, right here. Hello. Let's just do that. I do see line height occasionally defined as, what's the default? Is there a default? Yeah, the default is 1.65. And we could just stick with that. Those underlines make it pretty chunky, right? So this makes it readable. So the line height, I do see sometimes line height being defined in values like pixels or ems or rems. And there are definitely times when that's appropriate, but for the most part, it's always a multiple. It's a multiplier. It's a value of whatever your font size is. That is a best practice. Okay, great. That's done. Done. Need padding after the date before the next item on the masonry layout. And that is specific to the mobile view right there. So here's our article. And we don't want margin bottom. We want, because we do this thing inside called break inside avoid to avoid breaking up the content inside the container. The columns will happily, in order to make the column heights equal, will break up each of these articles. But we can put break inside the article avoid. Here, if we take this out, you can see it. See up here at the top, it's grabbing the border and the date from this right here. But if we put break inside avoid, it doesn't break it up. And if we do margin bottom 1 rem, well, it's not happening here, but I promise you on mobile, you'll have a space here because the margin is on the outside. If you think of the box model, which is padding, border, margin, it's taking what is on the outside of the box model, which is the margin, and it will push it over to the next line, the next column. It didn't happen on desktop, but it will happen on mobile. So do break inside avoid, don't do any margin, and then just structure your container, structure your articles so you can space things out with padding instead. So we'll do padding, bottom, 1 rem. You could see there that pushed it down, the whole column down. We don't want it there. I think we want it blog item, half width, right here, masonry, half width. This is the probably, well, I don't want it on desktop. Now we have that space. And it doesn't add any space to the top of our columns. So we have a couple media queries for these columns. Let's look at them. So specifically, we're using the masonry class on the body as the parent container, the parent container class for styling. And then we're using blog item and half width. So it looks like we're right around line 49 here. Right here. We have two, well, let's see here. Where are our columns? Where are you? All right. Here we go. Oh, I guess I only have one media query. Oh, and that's because I've got the featured on the left. Got it. Okay. So, blog item. I think this is targeting the featured right here. And then these are the media queries that are specifically targeting those articles. These are the desktop styles. So I am using margin. Right here. Blog item. Where is that coming from? Why do I don't know why I have this here. Line 79. Blog item. Margin margin. Why would I have margin bottom 2 rems here and not here? I don't know. Blog item. See this also as blog item. See, I should have done a better job strategizing some of these class names. It's getting a little confusing. I think that this is the featured item that's sticky on the left, question mark. I thought I did all of the styling for that. Oh, container featured. Whatever my intention was with this is not getting margin at this breakpoint. It's getting no margin from this breakpoint. And I wouldn't even do margin because I know. So I think I'm just going to change this to padding. Yeah, changing that to padding. Now there's another breakpoint here, 1024. And that's where the width of the container drops underneath here. So there's and now these do have margin. I don't think it should be margin. I think it should be, I must not check this on iPad. I think it should be padding, not margin. I think this is desktop. I think we need to combine some of this. So this is, yeah, we need to clean this up a little bit. So I think we can do margin left auto, margin bottom 3 rems. And we'll take the margin off. Really, we want to take the margin off here, and then that should also work here. And we can toss the text align center up here. I don't think we need this. Should be padding, not margin, because of the break inside. And I think then that we can do this. And how much you want to bet we don't need this? If I don't want margin for mobile, I don't think I want it for desktop either. I don't think that needs to be there. Yeah. Look at that. Perfect. Perfect. Love it. A lot cleaner, a lot simpler. We got rid of some duplicate stuff. Totally normal. Totally normal. To come back and take another pass. This is why you QA. This is why you do it. You're not going to get it right or perfect the first time you sit down and write it. This is why you QA. You go top to bottom, left to right. You check things, you check spacing, you make sure margin and padding are consistent. Understand the box model. Understand that margin's on the outside of the box, padding is on the inside of the box. Why is that important? Why does that matter to your design? And it's totally normal to come through and refactor something or realize that something doesn't make sense and that you can clean it up. It's a really good, healthy way to work. And we eliminated a really confusing block now of CSS. We got some clarity on what we were doing. We cleaned it up and it looks great. We eliminated an entire media query. That's good. Good. Love it. And all we were doing was adding padding below the date. What did we spend? We spent a few minutes on it. No big deal. No big whoop. All right. Full width blog header still looks too tight on mobile. Okay, and the reason it looks too tight on mobile is because of that positioning. Full width. Okay. So, yeah, I really don't like how this is positioned because it's not flexible enough. It's not flexible enough. So I pushed it down. from the top. And then I added margin to push everything below it down. Problem is, if there's a really long title, there isn't enough margin. That's the problem. See right there? This is absolutely positioned, so margin doesn't do anything, doesn't push anything out of the way because it's out of the flow. So how do we make sure that there's always enough pushing it out of the way so the rest of the content doesn't get in the way based on the length of the title? It's a page, so we don't want to limit the length of the title. It's the H1, so we don't want to do that. I don't know. So I think the solution, I did it this way because I wanted the H1 to come before the image for SEO and for accessibility. But it is not working with the design. It's just not working with the design. I think this H1, so we do have it flexboxed. Okay, so let's do this. Let's just change the order. I don't want to change the markup. I think there's maybe another way we can do this. So let's try this because we do have flexbox on the hero and we can change the order when it's display flex. So let's go to our full width CSS right here, and it's line 9. And class section hero, full width hero, line 9. Oh, why is hero defined in variables? It's not. Right here it says hero and it's in variables. Where? Do I have a flex container in here someplace? Hero. Primary heading, hero image, main wrap. Where is this? Oh, there's a hero.scss? What? Oh, okay. So, all right. I think I reused some class names when I should not have. Yeah, I did. So I called this section class hero. And how much you want to bet, I also called on the home page. Right here, hero. That's why. Okay. See, another good reason why refactoring is so important, because you catch a whole bunch of stupid stuff that you did. So we're going to rename this hero, and it's a full width page. Right here. Hero. So we've got a body class of blog and full width page. And then let's rename this hero full. And let's close some of these. I actually do want this. So make a copy of that. That is what we call a happy accident, because I did not intend for that container to be flexboxed. I mean, I was obviously just thinking about doing it, but I had not intended on that. And it did have those flex styles there, so I'm glad we caught that. Okay, so this is now going to be hero full. And stick that there. So I'm just going to go ahead and put flex container on this. Don't need that. Whoops. So here's our primary heading, which comes first. So I'm going to not do the positioning. I'm going to stick with the width and the max width and the text align center, but this container is, we're probably going to need, we can just do margin 0 auto. That's probably all we need to center that. And we don't need the Z index. That doesn't work if we're not using positioning. So this should be on top now. Yeah. It's not centered though. Width 90%, max width, text align center. Oh, it is. Okay, it's because of our transform. So we don't need the transform anymore either. Okay. So now we have, so now what we're going to do, and let's go ahead and put the padding all the way around. And take that off. So now we're going to change the order. So we've got the primary heading and the hero image. Primary heading, hero image. So we're just going to change the order. I'm just going to delete these. We've had a lot of people pop in on the stream so far. If you're new here, thank you. Love having you. Do me a favor. Go ahead and like the video. I would appreciate that so much. It helps me get that pushed out to more people on YouTube who are looking for front-end development related content. And if you're not subscribed, I would love to have you as a subscriber as well. I've been streaming for almost a year. It'll be a year in August. And I want to get the channel up to 1,000 subscribers. That's my goal this summer. So if you could subscribe, I would appreciate it so much. And yeah, if you have questions, if you have comments, put them in the chat. Let me know what you think. Ask me anything. I've been a front-end developer for about 12 years. Have a lot of experience with freelancing. I'm starting to record a lot of freelancing content for my channel. Not everybody's cup of tea, but I know a lot of front-end developers especially like to freelance and want to freelance, and I have a lot of experience working with clients. And I am always happy to answer questions. Okay, so now we're just going to change the order. I think we can just do order 2. So we'll make it number 2 in the DOM. And then we'll say order 1. So we see it. Beautiful. Look at that. Probably what we should have done to begin with. So now what we can do, I think we can just use transform to nudge it backwards. And since we're not taking it out of the flow with positioning, we'll be able to preserve that margin beneath. So here's the heading right here. So let's do, well, this should go up here. This comes before margin. Well, margin, then padding. Then let's do transform. Translate X on the X-axis. And let's just do, I don't know, negative. Well, how much padding do we have? Let's do -3 rems of padding. I'm probably going to want that to be a little more flexible. But now we have we probably don't even need that margin on the bottom. Where are we? Right here. So we took that margin out. So these are right up against each other now. Right up against each other now. So now if that title wraps, everything's getting pushed down. Nice. So here's the thing though. When you use transform to adjust the alignment, and I think this alignment is fine, the 3 rems, so I actually wouldn't change that at all. The space, there's still like this sort of the space beneath. So you can see here, there's that, and there's that. So you see all that space below the word heading? That's 3 rems of space because we pulled it up 3 rems, and the DOM is still kind of holding that space open. So if we did instead, so instead of transform, if we did, so you can see it pop down now, position relative, so again, positioning, but relative doesn't mean we're taking it out of the flow. We're just sort of assigning relative, so we are allowed to use now top -3 rems. It still holds open that space though, doesn't it? Why did I think it wouldn't do that? I thought one of them held it open and one didn't. At any rate, I'm going to stick with transform. I'm going to stick with transform. And this is a much better way to go. We don't need z-index anymore. I really thought that transform would take that out of the flow, but that's okay. Would tighten up the height of that container. But that's okay because this is still better. This is still better. Okay. So I think we can take off, we're going to go back and take off the padding on that H1. We already took off the margin on the section, and we can remove the padding on top of this section, and that's going to tighten it up a lot. So let's do that. So let's start with the H1. So we're just going to say padding bottom 0, and then line 3. Right up here, we're going to say padding top 0. That already looks just a million times better. Just a million times better. Look at that. And we took out that border last week. We probably could have dealt a lot better with that border with this approach, but it's okay. It is what it is. I don't know. Is that too much space? Not enough? Should we put our border back in? We could say, I wonder if we can do something fancy. What if we did, so if we say height 100%, can we say calc 100% minus the 3 rems? I don't think that's going to do anything. Did that do anything? No. Let's ask ChatGPT because this is bugging me. I really thought transform was going to... I have a CSS question. I used transform translate y -3 rem to move something up on a page, and it works very well. But the parent container is still the height as if I hadn't moved it. Can I get the parent container to adjust its height? I tried height calc 100% minus 3 rems, but that didn't work. When you use transform translate, the element is visually moved, but it still occupies its original space in the document flow. That's why the parent container still acts like it hasn't moved. The calc line assumes the parent's height is defined or inherited properly with height 100%, but unless all parent elements up the chain have explicit heights, oh, that's interesting, it won't behave as expected. And even then, it still won't account for the child being transformed out of the parent's visible area because transforms don't actually change layout. Your options: use the margin top instead. If you don't need the transform for animation or stacking, just replace it. Okay, that's actually good advice. This does affect the layout and will shrink the parent's height accordingly. Option 2, adjust the parent manually. If you have a fixed value, you can reduce the parent's padding or height. Okay, that's not the case here. Option 3, you can absolutely position the child. We already did that. We didn't like it. So let's just do margin. So instead of transform, yeah, I should have known that. Just trying to get a little too fancy, I guess. But we're gonna have to change the Z index to do that. So now we have to do position, relative. Position relative, Z index, probably what, 1 or 2? There you go, 1. Okay, so now we pulled it out of the flow, so we probably do want to add this padding back in. All right, that looks pretty good now. There we go. It takes a little time to get there sometimes, huh? And we still have a lot of padding on the main wrap. Is this another? Yeah, this is just another holdover from our global styles. So let's do a main wrap. Hero full, and then main wrap. Okay. Oh, we do have main wrap, container. Oh, how much you want to bet the class name is wrong? Yeah, class name is wrong. There we go. But oh, that looks okay. I didn't even notice that I wrote that class name wrong. Another reason to do a QA. I wrote that and I didn't even realize it wasn't working till just this moment. And now this works. So we used Flexbox. We used margin to adjust. We used margin to pull this up. Well, we used Flexbox to change the order. So in the DOM, we still have the H1 comes first, the figure comes second, but we used Flexbox and order. We used flex flow row wrap, which technically We could have just done column, but this is fine too. We changed the order. We did have to do relative, position relative, z-index 1. Z-index gives us a chance to change the stacking order within this parent of hero full. So that's fine. We used margin -3. That pulled it up out of, not out of the flow, but it just adjusted the layout and it adjusted the height of the container, which is what we needed. So I'm going to tell I used margin -3 rems, and this works perfectly and doesn't feel like a hack. Exactly, that's the clean layout respecting way to do it. I want this element to be pulled up and I want the layout to reflect that. Yeah, and there are lots of reasons to use transform and hold open that space, believe me. Too many reasons for me to even name right now. So this is, I like how they word this. So in most cases where people reach for transform, margin top is better if you want the DOM to flow to update with it. So, yeah. And we found a class, we found an entire block of CSS that had no impact on the layout because I used a dash instead of an underscore. So yet another good reason why we QA. And now we have something that visually, to my eyeball, looks good on desktop and it looks good on mobile. It has no impact on the length of the title. So the header will always grow or shrink to respect the length of the title, which is exactly what we want. So I'm happy with this, very happy with this. And I think the last couple of weeks, I spent a lot of time dealing with this header. I know a couple of times I worked on this header and I was getting frustrated. So, okay. So this round of QA is done. So forms, ugh. Okay, forms. Let's go ahead and push. And then we're just gonna have to start looking on mobile. So get status, get add, get commit, completing round 2 of QA. Okay, so we should see this reflected here in a minute. So let's chat about what's next. Let me see here. Okay, so there's definitely some weirdness on our forms on iOS. Not all of them, it's some of them. And I did make a separate note here, investigate the form styles on iOS, make the height of the form text area taller, and then the gap between the inputs on the form is too big on the form width layout. So let's take care of these last two things first, and then we're just going to ask Chat, let's look at the things that are happening to the form on mobile, and let's just ask ChatGPT for help. Like, I don't have the mental or emotional energy to like dig into the iOS nuances of forms. This is one of the reasons I love ChatGPT so much. So, okay, so let's make the height of the form text area taller. So here we are on full width. So here we are, here's the browser at 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100 Here's the text area. I don't think I'm even defining a height. Oh, I am. Okay, never mind. Disregard. Blog 250. So I do have a form style sheet, but apparently I already have. I also have I have separate styles for the comments here. So we're going to move this over to the form style sheet. I must have put this here before I started a form style sheet because I think anything related to the inputs or the text area, the form specific elements, should be in the form style sheet. All of these things are related to layout. Totally appropriate, but this needs to go into the form style sheet. And I think I have no idea if that's too tall or not tall enough. So we will find out. And it certainly doesn't need to be specific to the comment section. Another great reason, I know I sound like a broken record, another great reason to make sure that you're doing your QA. So I'm actually going to put this here and we're just going to do form. Okay, so if it's not defined, it's really tiny. So it just needs to be bigger. That's it. I don't think it needs to be 500. There's 300. A little bigger, a little beefier. So we're basically doubling it. All right, I like it. So now let's see what's happening. We have this big space here. I have a feeling it's because these are a percentage. Yes, the width is 48%. So, and that's because we're using container, which is our variable for, is it? Well, it's in the variables. I think it's because I used our Flexbox styles for the form. And that was the amount that I gave for half width. So I'm gonna change these for form. So for half width, with a parent of form container, not just container, I'm going to change it to 49%. And then we'll also see how this looks when the layout has a sidebar. Because this didn't look weird to me on the layout with the sidebar. It only looked weird to me here. So I'm going to put this in, even though it's layout related, it is still specific to form. So I'm going to put it here. So half width form dot, well, I'm just going to do form width. We'll see if I don't know if this is going to be specific enough. We'll see. Yep, it was specific enough. Good. Now let's look at the blog, which has a sidebar. Yeah, that looks fine. That looks great. I mean, what did that look like before? Oh, it looked weird. The gap was too big even there, but it was less noticeable. So, um, this comment form's pretty beefy, huh? What if we just do 250? Yeah, that looks okay. 250 it is. We closed up that gap. All right. Look at us making decisions. Okay, this is done, and this is done. So let's take a look. Okay, so let's go back to mobile. And hopefully this updates. So iOS does not like what I just did. iOS does not like what we just did with this title. Either the caching's not working. So our title's completely gone on iOS. Interesting. Interesting. So that little trick we did with the order, let's ask ChatGPT what they think. Another question. I used Flexbox and order to switch something simple, so I didn't actually have to move it in the DOM/markup. But that thing I moved, which by the way, we moved 2 elements. We moved that thing I moved disappeared on iOS. Either there's something happening with caching, or Flexbox and order don't play well on iOS. But the other thing I moved is fine. Oh, interesting. Okay, so Flexbox order edge cases that show up mostly on iOS Safari. I'm on Chrome, especially older versions. Here's the breakdown. What's supposed to happen? When you use display flex and order, the DOM stays in place, but items appear in a different visual order. All modern browsers should respect that, and most do. What actually happens on iOS sometimes, in certain cases, often involving order values on flex items, overflow hidden on a parent, or combinations with min height, max height, or position relative, which we had to use to change the z-index. Safari, especially older iOS versions, may visually hide the item or fail to render it at all as if it's not there. This is a rendering bug, not your fault. Try any or all of these. They tend to force a repaint or correct layout. Set flex shrink 0 on the item. Add position relative to the item. This forces iOS to reflow the item properly. Okay, we did that. Set a min width or a min height on the item. Force a 3D transform, forces hardware acceleration. Transform, translate Z0. Double check for overflow hidden on any ancestor. That can sometimes clip items unexpectedly, especially if order moves them outside the visible area. Let's see here. So, in some older versions of iOS Safari, applying order along with position relative and a negative margin can cause the item to be treated like it's visually out of bounds and potentially not rendered at all. Your primary heading has order number 2, position relative, margin -3 rems. Interesting. This combo is known to be risky in iOS. Aspect ratio on the hero image. iOS has historically had buggy support for aspect ratio, especially when used on non-image elements and paired with position absolute children inside. It can cause overflow or miscalculated heights, which in a flex container can influence what's rendered. Fixes to try: force rendering of primary heading with min height or transform. This often jolts Safari into rendering it correctly. Avoid negative margin if possible. Or shift the layout using gap on the parent flex container, preferred if spacing between children matters more than exact offset. Add flex shrink 0 to primary heading. This prevents iOS from collapsing the item when trying to calculate space. Double check the image container. Sometimes this can swallow adjacent flex children if aspect ratio isn't calculated properly. you could try aspect ratio auto just to see if that reveals the heading again. If it does, you found your bug. So I don't want to remove aspect ratio on the hero image because that's important. I don't want to swap out padding for margin because the padding is also important inside that container, but I understand why it's telling me to do that. So let's try adding transform and flex shrink 0 to primary heading and see what happens. And if these two things don't work, then we're just going to adjust what's happening in the DOM and simplify this. That's what I'm going to do. All right, let's go ahead and push this. Bug fix on iOS for the heading on full width blog. All right, we'll give that a minute. We didn't really check desktop to make sure that it was okay here, did we? I hope that there's somebody out there who's saying, yes, this is why it's so important to QA. If you are only ever relying on changing the size of your browser window on a desktop, that is not enough. It's not enough. You have to check these things on an actual mobile device. These little nuanced things, they just happen all the time when you least expect it. And it is so, you guys don't even I don't even think you guys realize how lucky, well, I know you do, because you tell me that you use ChatGPT and you use AI all the time to help you with coding. Just the hours and hours and hours of my time that I have spent Googling, trying to figure out and find solutions to things like this, it is so incredible to have ChatGPT look at my code and explain a problem or a potential fix. It's incredible. So let's see if this has deployed. I don't see it quite yet. So this is Safari. Let's, excuse me, this is Chrome. So let's actually check Safari here. I'm going to close this out. All right, so here's Safari. Okay, well, this is working in Safari. It's interesting because ChatGPT was pretty adamant that this was a problem with Safari on iOS. Maybe, I mean, we probably should have checked that before we made the change, but regardless, this is working. So let's see if we can get the cache to update on Chrome. Let me see here. Pretty normal that sometimes it just doesn't update. Yeah. Shoot, I wish I had checked it. I wish I had checked it before I made that change on Safari, but that's okay. Okay, I added the fix for primary heading, and it's actually working fine on Safari iOS. It's Chrome iOS that's not working. Also, how can I force the cache to clear on Chrome iOS? The sneaky troublemaker, even though it looks like Chrome, it's actually running WebKit under the hood. Apple requires it. So you're still dealing with Safari's engine, but with its own caching layer and quirks layered on top. First, quick recap. Since primary heading works on iOS Safari, but not on Chrome, it's almost certainly a cache issue or a stale layout render. Yeah, that's what I think too. It's usually a caching thing. Unfortunately, Chrome iOS doesn't give you a granular cache clearing like desktop does. Here's how to do it. Ugh, I'm not clearing all my browsing data. Method 2, force cache busting via HTML and CSS. Actually, that's a really good idea. We should do, that's a really good idea. For development, bonus hard refresh trick. While viewing the page in Chrome, tap the URL, pull down on the page, hold and pull further down until you see the spinner. This triggers a slightly harder refresh than normal. Okay, let's try this trick first. Tap the URL bar, pull down on the page like a refresh, hold and pull down farther until you see the spinner. I don't see the spinner. Okay, that didn't work. You know what we should do? I would only recommend this for development, but let's do this. Let's do this just for development. Let's write a JavaScript script that adds a random number to the CSS endpoint. What do you think? Yeah. Here's a clean little JavaScript snippet you can include during development. So in our DOM content loaded function, document query selector all, we're going to look for the link rel style sheet, which is, let's just check right here. So it's going to look for this. So we don't even have to take this out. We're just going to look for this. We're going to get the attribute. Do a random number and add it onto the end. So I mean, I suppose you could do this for production. I don't think you should do this for production. I think this is something that you should only do in development for these exact situations, right? It's going to add a random number to the end of the URL. That's going to give us a lot more control. So we want to, let's do this, to the link. Oh, stop. Well, let's do link rel style. For development only. Now you can see here that it's adding a new random number to the end of this, and every time we push this, it's going to fetch a new version because it changes. So let's go ahead and push this, and that's going to be how we clear our cache on iOS. Let's do this. Adding a random hash value to style sheet endpoint for caching in staging. All right, let's give this a minute. So let's add this to our QA. I guess we can add this to technical debt. Remember to remove the style sheet dev cache script. Okay, let's see if this is working. Goes pretty quick usually. So this is working. Let's close this. I mean, I guess it only works. I mean, I guess it only works if Chrome is actually, if Chrome doesn't ask it to fetch new assets, it's not going to fetch new assets, right? Yeah, it doesn't work if Chrome doesn't actually go get the assets. Oh, okay, optional. Wrap it so it only runs in dev. What this does, appends a random query, forces Chrome iOS and everyone else to re-request the file, bypassing cache. No, I know it's working. Okay, I can see it on desktop on my staging site, but Chrome is still not updating. Is it possible Chrome isn't even checking if the URL has updated? Or maybe the thing that's hidden is still hidden on Chrome, but why does it work in Safari? Yeah, that's what I think. I think Chrome can ignore new href values on link. Even with a random query string, Chrome iOS might skip re-requesting style sheets if it thinks it already has a valid resource in cache memory. It loaded the page recently and reused the tab. The new href is set too early in the page load cycle. So even though you can see the new dev cache in the inspector, it may not actually reparse or reapply the new style sheet. Instead of modifying the href, clone and replace the link. This forces. Okay. Okay. I'm going to try one more thing here. I think it's caching. I only think that because it works in Safari and it doesn't work on Chrome, and that is very unusual. So I'm just going to try one more thing. Yeah. We're going to wait and check this tomorrow, because this, in my opinion, is not unusual when it comes to Chrome. Happens all the time. So we're going to check this tomorrow and see if it works. And if it doesn't, then I just have to come up with the plan B for that header. My approach when stuff like this happens is not to make it more complex with fixes and tricks and re-rendering hacks. One second. This is as far as I want to go. I don't like these tricks when it comes to forcing something to re-render or paint the DOM or try this hack or try that or maybe see if this works. I really don't like that. When that stuff starts to happen, the solution isn't try more tricks. The solution is this is not working and you need to build this in a better way that is more efficient and representative of a solid, well-built layout. So I'm going to wait. I'm just going to try. I'm annoyed. Now I'm annoyed. So I think I should wait for the caching. Yeah, it's still not showing up. We're going to wait and check it tomorrow. And we'll see how it looks. We'll check again before the end of the stream. But we'll check again tomorrow. It'll definitely be cleared in 24 hours. If it's not, then we're going to come up with a new solution tomorrow. Honestly, I'll probably just do it myself offline, because after today we are done working on this template. This is it now with today. And we've done really well here. We haven't had any other issues. So, okay. So the last thing, oh, I guess we do need to look at this again, don't we? The last thing we need to look at, and I am just going to use Safari, is, let's go back to the blog, these form styles. So I think you can see here. So we've got, starting with, we've got input type text, input type email, input type password, type URL, type number, type telephone, type search. Then as soon as we get down to type time, type date, type date time local, type week, type month, and the color picker. Those inputs do not look right. And also the select. So let's ask ChatGPT about a couple of these things. So basically, we are getting the width, but it's kind of busting out of its container there. You can see on the right, it's overlapping that border. You don't really see the borders on the stream, but the borders are definitely on my phone. Let's see here. Can you see? There you go. So you can see the borders. I don't know why they don't come through on the screen. So let's ask ChatGPT why this is happening. Because I don't know. Okay, I think this is caching, which I've run into before. I don't like the fixes. Not my style. Going to give it 24 hours. If still not working, that means I need a new approach with my layout. Chrome iOS is notorious for delayed cache invalidation, even with query strings. Sometimes it really does take a sleep cycle and a coffee for the cache to give up and let go. And yeah, if it isn't cached after 24 hours, then you're probably looking at one of those subtle layout bugs where order, position, or flex behavior isn't stacking right in WebKit. If that ends up being the case, I've got a few layout restructuring ideas we can try that don't require rewriting your markup, still semantic, still clean, just using safer flex grid patterns. Okay, so next issue. On iOS, Safari, and Chrome, I have some form styles that don't, oh, you know what? That don't look right. That don't look right. Let's go to forms. So it's not getting the padding, and the width is extending outside. So let's just tell it what we did here. That don't look right. Here are my styles. Can you guess which inputs don't have the padding and the input extends beyond the parent container? You're about to say input type search, aren't you? No, because yes, on iOS, Safari, and Chrome, both input type search and input type color are nasty little outliers. Here's what's happening. Input type search gets extra inner padding and a built-in clear X button on iOS, often ignores or messes with your custom padding and width, can stretch beyond the container or not align with siblings. Input type color often renders as a native color swatch that's taller or wider than expected, ignores padding entirely, won't fully respond to standard styling. Fixes you can try. Well, it's interesting. It didn't choose the correct inputs. I mean, input type color is giving us an issue, but okay, so let's tell it what it is. It's actually, well, I'm actually going to take color out. Let's take color out and see what happens. But it's really these. I mean, yes, the color input is all wrong, but I think these aren't good styles for that input. I was mostly referring to these. The problem with these inputs in iOS, time, date, yes, they are rendered as native pickers in iOS, and when that happens, iOS ignores padding even when you set it, sometimes overrides width or height, applies weird internal styles like calendar icons or slotted fields, extends past width 100%, or doesn't respect Flexbox parents. What's actually happening, you wrote padding 1 rem, but on iOS the browser says thanks, but I'm just going to draw my own picker UI over your styles. Fixes that actually work. Force them to use your padding or box sizing. Okay, so we already have box sizing on the HTML element. And it's saying to do appearance none. This helps but won't fully restyle the native picker. Use a consistent height to avoid overflow. That avoids weird visual stretching. Wrap in a container to constrain the width. Sometimes the input itself doesn't overflow, but its rendered picker field does. Then you get hard bounds and the input still can't flow past its parent. Except the full control is not possible in iOS. If you're aiming for fully custom styled datetime pickers, the only real option is JavaScript-based solution. So we're already doing box sizing border box. I really don't want to put a fixed height on them, but I guess I could. Let's try appearance none. But I don't want to do appearance none. Okay, let's have an appearance none. Let's talk about appearance none. I used to do that all the time, and I feel like it really messes with accessibility. Also, on desktop, the browser adds icons. Will those get removed? Okay, what appearance none actually does, it tells the browser, don't give me any of your native styling. I'll handle everything myself, which means padding, border, background, you're in full control. Native UI affordances like calendar icons, spinner arrows, drop down arrows gone. I don't want that. Sometimes accessibility cues like roll spin button or ARIA enhancement also gone or degraded. Yeah, I don't want that. Okay, so I'm going to try important for padding. And can't I just use max width 100% for the overflow? Okay, let's just try this, and I think we could do everything here. And then if we take input type color out, let's see how that looks. Because I feel like input type color maybe just wasn't a good input for these particular styles. Especially since I have it down here. So this might have been a mistake, actually. Maybe that's why that's doing that. Maybe that was a mistake. Okay, let's go ahead and push this. And if it still looks weird, it's going to go on the technical debt list, and we're going to put it in GitHub as issues, and then that could just be part of like an open source fix, because I don't think that those are inputs that are probably, I mean, those inputs aren't used that often, right? They were just part of the kitchen sink HTML. I wanted to include them and make sure they were styled. So we'll just put it on the bug tracker. So, and Rita is here. Hello, Rita. How are you doing? How are you liking Sublime Text? I hope that that is working for you. And yes, I have box sizing border box on the HTML element defined. Okay, let's go ahead and push this again. Bug fix for some form styles on iOS. All right, let's give that a minute and we'll see what happens. Let's see what else we need to do here. Let's tidy things up a bit. So let's add these to just technical debt, and then we'll set up the issue tracker in GitHub. And once we see how this looks, once this is deployed and we see how it looks, as far as I'm done, we have completed 2 excellent rounds of QA. This is very good. I'm really happy with this. So let's see here. Yeah, it didn't really do anything. I mean, this just added like a weird border to our color picker. But we're still not getting padding and we're still overflowing the container. So we're just going to put those in the issue tracker. So if you're watching this and you have any interest in contributing to an open source project, like I am inviting you to see if you can solve these problems. So, yeah, it's fine. It's totally fine. We still had some excellent QA here. So let's just pop on over and we're going to double check tomorrow because honestly, iOS is excellent at gaslighting, right? Sometimes I'm like, I know it got deployed. Is it caching or is it me? I don't know. Sometimes you literally have to give it a day in iOS, as crazy as that sounds. You just do. Okay. So let's work on issues. Let's create some issues. I haven't done this before. So let's put these things as issues. No results. New issue. All right. So find a solution for some form styles on iOS. So let's look at ChatGPT and borrow some of its language about what the problem even is. Let's go back up here. Because it did give us an explanation. Okay. A little bit here. The problem with some inputs on iOS. Are rendered as native pickers on iOS, and that happens. And when that happens, iOS ignores padding, even if you set it. Let's see how that looks in preview. All right. So I'm not going to put in potential fixes, but I am going to put in a note about appearance. Let's just do the TLDR and accessibility. I'm going to do this. All right. So here's our issue. Oh, we have to fix this. All right, I love it. We did it. We wrote our first issue. So I guess we can do labels. All right. Oh, look at that. Something isn't working. Documentation, duplicate, enhancement, good first issue, help wanted. Extra attention is needed. Invalid, question, won't fix. So I think this feels like a bug to me. I want help, i.e., I don't feel like working on it anymore. And yeah, I think it could be a good first issue, right? Okay, projects. No, I don't really have this associated with the project. Milestone. Assign. No, I'm not assigning this, but these are, okay. Yay! Okay, cool. Love it. So remember to remove the style sheet dev cache. That's not really an issue. Let's do this. So we actually have consider more CSS refactoring and make a CSS partial for typography and headings. Rethink the CSS structure strategy so layouts aren't tied to really specific types of pages. Layout styles are templates, not pages like about or contact. So I don't think that this layout styles are templates, not pages like about or contact. That's more, it feels like more of a note to myself. Rethink the CSS structure strategy so layouts aren't tied to really specific types of pages. I kind of feel like consider more CSS refactoring and make a CSS partial for typography and headings is something that is a bit more actionable for an issue. I think that issues are like tasks, and I think that there has to be a clear what is done. How do you define something done? I don't think they should be that open-ended. So create. All right, new issue. So I'm just going to say I guess this whole thing could be an issue. Consider more CSS. Let's do SCSS refactoring. And make an SCSS partial file for typography and headings. Can you explain why this statement might be true? As your project evolves, your CSS likely starts showing signs like repeating font family sizes, weights across different components, inconsistent heading styles, style rules for typography scattered across multiple partials or even inline, harder to maintain or audit. This is where refactoring comes in. It's not about fixing something broken. It's about making your code more organized, reusable, scalable, predictable. Okay. I'm creating an issue in my GitHub repo. Can you make this more concise so I can include it? Love it. Make this an H1. So I'm just going to say more CSS refactoring. Make a CSS partial file for typography. Love it. So this is more of help wanted, good first issue. Look at that. Great. Look at that. Wow. Okay, this is so cool. I'm glad I decided to do this. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not worried about any of this stuff anymore. We did that. We got all these other things done today. We got these done last week. I like it. I'll keep the QA document in here though, for sure. Somebody else wants to glance at it, they certainly can. Okay. Let's close some of these things. There's actually a couple other things here that we need to do, like in this JavaScript file, but I wanted to show you this new thing for ChatGPT. If you don't know about it, so there's a new thing right here called Codex, and it's included in ChatGPT, but you do kind of have to sign up for it. So I pay for the not the super premium ChatGPT, but like the Pro, the $20 a month ChatGPT, and this is included. But I did still have to sign up. It connects to your GitHub account, and it will scan repositories. You can have it search everything, or you can scan on a repo by repo basis. So I had it scan this one to start, and let's go back here to environment, and it had issues. Where are we here? How do I get to the issues? Number of tasks. Oh, use this. And it came up with things here that it recommended. So the first thing it did was explain the code base, which I thought was pretty cool. So it scanned the repository and it went through and explained what this was and what was happening. Let's go back out here a little bit. So and it had suggested tasks. So I just did the suggested tasks. So this one is explain the code base to a newcomer. What is the general structure? What are the important things to know? And what are some pointers for things to learn next? The repository is a static blog site built primarily with HTML, CSS, and a small amount of JavaScript. Overall layout, index.php simply includes home/index.html to serve the home page. And we do that specifically for Heroku. That's why I do that. Each directory, home, about, blog, blog slider, full width, contact, masonry, contains an index.html file that represents a page on the site. The HTML is largely self-contained and includes the same header-footer structure. Styling is authored in SCSS with many partial files such as header, blog, masonry, etc., and compiled into styles.css. Variables and helper mixins are defined in variables. 1 second here. Okay. JavaScript lives in main.js, and it handles the off-canvas mobile menu, search drawer, slider functionality, and some intersection observer animations. And that's for the scrolling animations. Static assets like images are in the Ocean directory and SVG icons in SVG. The README describes the project goals, quick start steps, and licensing info. QA.md lists outstanding QA items and future improvements. Important points. Pages are pure HTML. There is no dynamic backend aside from the simple PHP include. SCSS is used heavily. You typically run a SAS watch style compress to compile styles according to the README instructions. The JavaScript provides accessibility features such as focus trapping in menus and support for keyboard controls on the slider. The site aims to be more responsive and accessible following modern HTML, CSS practices. That makes me feel good that my project would be described that way. Let's see here. So Go Elmo Go says, I look away for 2 hours and you got so much progress done. I never use ChatGPT when it comes to coding, but you opened my eyes to how useful it is. All hail Angela for the helpful tips. Well, thank you. I'm glad that you find it useful. I think ChatGPT is an incredible strategic partner. It isn't just good for coding. It's so good for strategy and project planning and problem solving. It's just an incredible tool. I know people who don't like AI, and I understand the issues surrounding AI. I'm not ignoring those things, but I just find it so incredibly useful for so many things. So, okay, so this is a good, this section I think is really cool. Suggestions for new contributors. Get familiar with the SCSS structure. Review the partials under the SCSS directory to see how components and layouts are organized. Learn how the build step, the SAS watch, produces styles.css. Understand the JavaScript interactions. Explore main.js to see how menu toggling, search drawer behavior, and the slider work. Use QA.md as a roadmap. The open tasks and technical debt section outline areas that still need refinement. Great starting points for contributors. Experiment locally. Follow the README's quick start instructions to run a live server and watch the SCSS. Modify a pager style, recompile, and see the effect. Read through the HTML pages. They demonstrate semantic markup, headers, nav, main, etc., responsive image handling, and accessible form elements. Once you're comfortable with these pieces, you could try adding new page elements, tweaking the SCSS organization, or addressing items from the QA checklist to further improve the site. So I thought this was pretty cool. I really enjoyed. Here's what I liked. That a robot scanned my site and said I did a good job. I like that. That made me feel good. Okay. So it found a couple of bugs. So let's see here. Okay, pick a part of the code base that seems important and find and fix a bug. Note, the word January was misspelled on multiple blog pages. Correcting this improves the readability and professionalism of the site. So I think it said that it fixed it automatically. Did it fix it automatically? No, it didn't fix it automatically. And we've been pushing. Okay, so we're going to figure out together how to actually get status short. I've never used that flag before. So okay, so these were all of the bugs. Request changes or ask a question. Hello. Can you please fix this issue and get push to origin main, question mark. Oh. Oh, shoot, I should have done ask. Hang on, can we stop? I did it wrong, hang on. How do I make it stop? Did it know that this was a question and is just fixing it? I asked a question, but I clicked code. Was the suggested change made? If I asked a question, what are you checking? What's the command that you're running? I don't understand. And how do I stop this? And what command are you running? I don't understand. Okay. Yes, the latest commit applies the typo corrections and the agent proposed. In blog slider, the heading now says, okay, so it just fixed typos. All right. So let's look at our code. Is there another? Okay. I don't see anything pushed. Can you, oh, let's do this. Git push origin main. So this should push it, right? This should push right to my repository. All right, 1 second. All right, I had to adjust my air conditioning. I'm freezing. What in the wide, wide world of sports is happening here? I don't know how this, I don't understand why or how this works. What, I mean, why aren't you just doing a push? This makes no sense to me. I don't see anything pushed. So I don't know what it's doing. And how do I make it stop? I'll summarize the bug fixes, file changes, and explain the git push failure. Okay. Pushed a CSS rule so social icons in blog layouts are centered. Wrapped sidebar post titles in anchor element. Tried pushing to origin mail but failed because there's no remote configured. Okay, well, we already did all those things. Is it just not reading? Okay, I'm so confused. So, right, I think I need to spend more time figuring out how to actually use this. I did this, well, yeah, well, today's June 7th. It's got the date up here. I mean, I did this earlier in the week, so I think this is great for finding bugs. But clearly this doesn't work for fixing anything. It's not, oh, create pull request. Has this been up here the entire time? Has this been up here the entire time and I didn't see it? Okay. I'm gonna archive this. And it didn't push anything. Let's just confirm it didn't push anything, because I already made those changes anyways. And we can go in here and fix the word January. January. Oh, there's no A. Okay. Let's go ahead and fix it. Everything else we already did, it just clearly wasn't reading the repository. Fixing a typo. Oh, whoops. It's not integrations, it's main. Okay. All right. There was one other thing. I'm going to hang on to the explain code base structure and key concepts because I think that's pretty cool. So this So here was the task. Go through the code base, find issues. No, it didn't have a thing up here. I didn't think I was missing that. It must have only been available after it fixed it, then I could do the pull request. I have to spend more time learning how to use this. Okay. Go through the code base, find issues, and propose one task to fix a typo, one task to fix a bug, and one task to fix a code comment or documentation discrepancy, and one task to improve a test. So this was pre-filled in as like a suggested prompt, and I just went ahead and used it. So issues, typo in blog dates, several files spell January. Okay, so we just fixed that. Number 2, slider.js fails on all pages without a slider. And we fixed that too. We fixed that earlier. That is when I put in this. That is when I put in this down here. If no slider, return. Oh, you know what? That's why the navigation thing wasn't working on those pages, because I put this here and it stopped. That's why we had to move our "you are here" navigation up. Yeah. So our JavaScript also needs some refactoring, doesn't it? So here's our slider down at the bottom. Let's do an issue for some JavaScript refactoring, because this could definitely be updated, and yeah, this could definitely be updated in a way that is more, okay, good. I'm glad that mystery is solved. So we're going to create an issue. Let's get through this. We're going to create an issue, but this is done. We did this. It's just not done very well. Okay, mismatched percentage in comment. Okay, so we can do that. All right. No automated tests. The repository lacks any test suite. Adding tests would help verify JavaScript behavior such as the slider logic. No test directories or configuration files exist in the project listing. Yeah, that's something that I need to get better at doing, is that kind of testing. So, but we're not going to do it today. So I'm actually going to archive this, and let's go create an issue for the basically JavaScript refactoring. All right, new issue. JavaScript, vanilla JavaScript refactoring. You know, we could just fix this right now and have ChatGPT fix it. Should we just do that instead? Let's do that instead. I mean, Elmo just paid me this wonderful compliment about being able to use ChatGPT for coding. So let's put it to work. So I'm going to copy this in. Please help me refactor my vanilla JavaScript. It works, but it's not well organized. It's showing me a lot more stuff than it normally does. Here's a clean refactor plan for your vanilla JavaScript broken into modular chunks. Each section is working but can be better structured for readability and long-term maintenance. Oh, okay. Okay, I'm asking you to please do the refactor. No. No. I want it all in the same file. Are you telling me to break it down, or can we keep it all together? So put everything inside one big if statement. It really wanted me to break it down. So maybe we should do an issue for that kind of refactoring. And then we got to go through the site and make sure everything still works. Yeah, we still have our focus trapping. This is still working. We can escape out. Yep, this is still working. All right, So slider works. Let's make sure our animations all still work. Yep, those are working. Let's check the home page. Yep, those are working. I'm going to keep in this cache busting because I think it's kind of cool. And we are getting our random number here, so that's working. Highlight the current nav link. Oh, we didn't do that on mobile. What's happening? So we didn't highlight the nav on mobile. Okay, so I think we can, that's an easy fix. Did I make sure that this even is getting? Yep, it's getting an active class. So we just need to get in and grab that and add it to, because it's got to hover. So we'll add that active class to that list. Okay, well, that's good that we check that. These are the focus utilities. That was working. The trap focus worked. The menu toggle worked. The search drawer worked. The escape key worked. Let's check our drop-down menu. Here's our drop-down menu. That worked. Scroll animations worked. The slider worked. Okay, that works. So let's do an issue. See if somebody wants to do this for me. If you're open to organizing it into separate files later, consider. Here's a clean refactor plan for your vanilla JavaScript broken into modular chunks. Each section is working, but can be better structured for readability and long-term maintenance. Vanilla JavaScript refactoring. Oh, it's just a table. Got it. No, those are the heads. Nice. Look at that. You guys, it's like we're real developers. All right. There we go. So for labels, I'm going to do good first issue and help wanted. And create. Nice. All right. I like it. So we did a minor refactoring of our vanilla JavaScript, but we described how it could be better based on the feedback we got from ChatGPT, along with the proposed folder structure. And we'll put it in as an issue and see if somebody wants to help us with this. So, and, maybe sometime in the future, we'll do a stream where it's all about going back and working on the issues, right? I love it. So what else? So let's thank ChatGPT for its help. Thanks. I used the single file refactor, but I created an issue in my repo with your proposed module changes. Okay, so let's do our final commit and push. And of course, I would welcome a pull request from anybody who finds something that they think could be improved, right? By the way, thank you to everybody who's watching right now. I definitely appreciate, we've had a ton of people log in and check out the stream today, and I'm so appreciative of that. If you haven't yet, I would love it if you could like this video. If you are interested in this type of content, front-end focused, would you consider subscribing? Because we'd love to have you. Trying to get the channel to 1,000 subscribers by the end of the summer, or thereabouts, sooner rather than later. Refactoring refactoring JavaScript. Oh, a favicon. We need a favicon. Was there something else I was going to do? I think I was going to fix the "you are here" navigation for mobile. Should we just make issues? Let's do it. Wow, we're on a roll. We need a favicon. Would you like to create and add a favicon to this site? Submit a pull request, and I'm happy to have a contribution. Thanks. Enhancement. Good first issue. Help wanted. Create. Mobile. Oh, you know what? I have to just do it. I have to just do it. The mobile nav. Navigation line 102. Right here. There it is. Okay. Final push. Final push. Right here. Wow. We did it. We did it. Let's check and see when we started even working on this. I took a long break. I was gone from streaming for about 7 weeks, something like that. So Codex, I'm done with you. ChatGPT, you can hang out. Here's our pull. Here's our issues. Here's our README. We have a license. We've done a total of 51 commits. When did we do our first commit? Oh, initial commit January 11th, 2025. So about 5 months, including a 7-week break. And I only worked on this during the live streams. I only worked on this for a couple of hours every Saturday and Sunday. That's it. So, and it's a nice little site, I think. It is a nice little site. I like it. I like it. All right, let's pull up our staging site. Ooh, that's a flash. Look at that. That wasn't happening before. That's interesting. Thank you, Elmo. I'm glad that you enjoyed watching the process. I mean, I really hope that it inspires people to get out there and start building, right? That's the goal. I don't like that little flash. I don't know why that's happening. Is that because it's fetching the new CSS every single time? Is that what's happening? I don't know, man. I associate those types of flashes like that with JavaScript, not with CSS. With the delay in the JavaScript loading. Ugh. Okay. Okay, well, I don't see. Okay, so we know Safari's working because we have our active text in the mobile menu. So let's see. Let's see if we can get Chrome to work. Come on. Well, we're not getting our active class. So to me, this feels like caching. I think this is probably fine. I think this is a caching issue. Yeah, that's how I feel pretty confident this is a caching issue. So we'll look tomorrow. We'll just look quick tomorrow before we start. Before we start the other stuff that I have planned. I think this is just caching. Such a stinker. Okay. Wow. We did so good today. We did so good today. So that's it. This project is done. This project is done. I feel totally confident as long as I see what I'm expecting to see tomorrow. I feel totally confident having somebody else come along and fork this and use it for their own project. Ooh, I don't like that though. Did you see that? That's the SVG. Not getting styled. I think that's because of that endpoint. That's what I think. How long is it taking for that to load? Let's see. Yeah. That's why, I think. Okay, I'm going to remove that. I'm going to remove it. It didn't even do what I wanted it to do. So there's no point in having it. So let's just take it out. I'm just going to take it out. Didn't even do anything. Okay, for real, this is the last commit. Removing cache busting CSS script. There is, on a static site like this, there's no reason to have that kind of flash. None. There's no reason for it. The whole point of building sites like this is that you don't have that, that you are clean and efficient and things load quickly. I mean, look at this. We have a home page with 22 requests. That's it. 22. So this just needs a second to compile on Heroku. I just want to see. There we go. I'm not seeing it anymore. There we go. Okay, that's what that was. That makes me feel better. We'll just take a look at Chrome tomorrow. Safari looked great, so I guess I'm not really worried about it. We'll take a look at Chrome tomorrow and we'll move on. Tomorrow we are going to get started. For basically the next 3 weekends, the rest of June, we are going to finish my website. And I have some videos from the end of December where I started working on a style guide and just sort of conceptualizing what I needed a new website to look like for me. And after those couple of streams, I think I did 2 or 3, not very many. I just worked privately on building a website for myself, and it's like 3/4 done. I'm really, really happy with the progress, but I haven't worked on it in 2 months. I haven't worked on it since I think the beginning of April. And I really need to get this site done and deployed to production on or before July 1st. That's the goal. So we have about 3 weeks. So the stream title for tomorrow is that we are starting basically the 21-day sprint to get this done. And this is what we finish for the rest of June. So the home page is very nearly done. We just have some more styling to do. The header and the footer are done. The banner is done. This section is done. It just needs a few little extra treatments. I have a header here that isn't styled yet. So we're going to finish off. That's the goal. Well, no, the goal for tomorrow is to QA. Make a list for QA. And we're going to create project planner tasks. So we're going to go page by page, top to bottom, and identify everything that we need to get done. And there's going to be a fair amount of content work here. So it's not going to be all HTML and CSS. I see us spending entire weekends just getting content in here because right now everything is basically dummy content. These are placeholder images, lorem ipsum, not real content. And I have real content ready to go. Not this much, but I do have real content ready to go. We need to organize our project page. This page is meant to be all of the projects, basically everything that I work on YouTube. So we're going to go through, take screenshots, set up all these links. We need to connect the contact form to form spree. I think it's form spree that I'm using. We need to set up, here's what the page looks like. So here's kind of like a test page. This is what the inner page and blog pages look like. Here are the forms. I'll talk more about this tomorrow, my strategy for handling form data, but we need to get this set up and test these also. So we'll test the forms, we'll test the contact me page. The about me page is the page that needs the most work. There's a lot of things here that were part of my original plan, my original concept. And clearly this is, I've kind of just tossed this in here. This is like the extra room in your house where you just throw all your junk and then you close the door and pretend that that room and all that stuff doesn't exist. That's what this page is right now. So we're gonna, but there's still stuff in this room that I want. Like I want this section. So we're going to figure this out. We're going to make a list of what these tasks are. And if we have time, after we go through and we create our tasks and we finish our project board, we could actually start doing some coding on this homepage. That's the plan for tomorrow. That's the plan for the rest of June. I'm really excited about getting this done because I need, now that I'm creating more content for YouTube, all of the videos that I record on YouTube, not the live streams, but like the produced content, all of those are scripted. Well, sort of scripted. Hang on here. All of that content, I write detailed scripts and outlines before I record those videos, and then I take all of everything that I wrote and I turn it into a blog post because it just seems crazy to me to spend that much time planning, scripting, and writing and not also and have it only be a video. I want all of that content, anything that I create a video for and I do that much writing for, I really need and want that to be a blog post on my personal website. So I have content ready to go. We need to do some image sourcing. I'm planning to use Unsplash for all of my images because they just have a ton of great images and they're free, they're open source. So we're going to go through and do some image sourcing for the content that I do have. Yeah, the site is just coming along beautifully. I need to get it done. So June is going to be the perfect month to get this done. And you guys are going to come along with me for the ride. So that's it for today. Wow, almost 4 hours. This was a long one. Thank you so much to everybody who joined me and who came to hang out with me. Thank you for liking the video. Thank you for subscribing. Appreciate that so much. I really want to grow this channel. I love streaming. I love being on YouTube. I love sharing my knowledge. I love creating content, just having so much fun, and I love having you guys here with me. If you have questions, please leave them in the comments. If you can think of a topic, something that you want me to go more in depth on, I'm happy to do that in a stream. I'm happy to create more additional content for that as well. I hope that you can join me tomorrow and that we can hang out again and continue to do this. Have a great rest of your day wherever you are, and I will see you in my next one. Bye-bye.